Hi, and welcome to the GamerGet podcast. This is a podcast where we get gamers on to talk about games and the latest gaming news with a focus on Japan. This is episode 6. I'm your host Genki, a gamer living in Japan and making tweets and videos on games in Japan. And today we have a very, very special guest joining us for today's show. Please welcome one of the biggest Nintendo fans on Twitter and also a big fan of games from Japan and JRPGs, the one and only Stealth. How's it going, Stealth?
It's going great. Thank you for having me on. We've been friends on Twitter for a long time now, so this is really fun.
Yeah, it's so awesome I could have you on the show today to talk about some video games. Thanks so much. Yeah, could you give us a quick introduction of yourself to introduce yourself to the listeners?
Sure. So, I've been gaming for a very, very long time. My focus is also on, Japanese games, Nintendo, physical collecting. Those are all things I'm very, very passionate about.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you have a big presence on Twitter as well. And I really enjoy your tweets and your insights on video games, and especially, as you said before, we have quite similar tastes in games from Japan, and also I know you're a big fan of physical media, you said.
Yeah.
I was really happy to have you on today. So let's get into the show. And to start the show, we usually like to start the show with a section we call the Gamer Origins. And this is a part of the podcast where we like to hear about people's gamer origins, to find out how people got into video games. And we would love to hear how you got into video games, and especially games from Japan. So Stealth, how did you get into video gaming?
Sure. So I wish I could remember my very first game, but it was a very, very long time ago. I do know, and it's funny for me to say this, it might have been, PC gaming that actually got me into video games all the way back with the Apple II. Playing kind of like edutainment games like Oregon Trail and Math Munchers. It's kind of funny to say, but that kind of, opened the door for me when computers were just kind of coming into their own. And there were games on them, and I'd play them. There was also, NESs around me, going to friends' houses. Everyone had an NES. So I would play games and everything there. I had an NES myself. So I think, the NES was definitely my first console, but I was playing, PC games on the Apple II, as I mentioned. I would say the first video games I played were mostly platformers because, that was kind of the big genre. Super Mario Brothers, obviously. That was probably the first time, I remember a game being so important to me. But also on the NES, there was, the original Dragon Quest, there was the original Final Fantasy. And those games, I didn't realize it, but they kind of instilled a lifelong love of RPGs for me. And then in the early 90s, I got the SNES. I got that at launch. And that just really was okay, I played video games before when I was a kid, but now with an SNES, video games are my hobby, kind of thing. It became more permanent in my life. And obviously I would go to arcades. Arcades was a big thing for me. Growing up, I lived very close to an arcade. I would go there all the time. And then that was very important to me. So just slowly but surely, I kind of just became a major video game fan. And I would say during the SNES era, that's where my tastes kind of developed, where I was buying, a lot of Nintendo games, obviously. I was buying a lot of RPGs, and then I just kind of, went from there.
Yeah, so that's awesome how you got into the video games, especially with the SNES. That was really cool. I think my first console was my family owned was the SNES. And I think I had Street Fighter 2 for the longest time. I just had that game. My dad was into kung fu movies, so I think he just bought us Street Fighter 2, and then we had that for the longest time. until we like later on. Then we got some like more like Zelda and Mario games later on.
Yeah, I mean, I also had Street Fighter 2, and I think about it from time to time how that game had 8 characters, and
Yeah.
back then that was perfectly fine. We just didn't really think about it, and now there are fighting games with like 50, 60 characters, and Super Smash Brothers Ultimate has over 80 characters, and I'm like, wow, the
Hmm.
kids of today really have it good.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. There's so much options, and yeah, there's so many games coming out, especially this year. It's kind of crazy, and yeah, I guess your love for like the NES also started like your love for games from Japan. If you would like to talk about that a bit.
Yeah, I mean, just the sense that I was buying so many Nintendo games. It was obviously Super Mario World came with the system, but then there was, The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, and there was Super Punch Out, and there was Mario Kart, and there's all these all these Nintendo games. So just like being a Nintendo fan, it's hard not to be a fan of Japanese games. And then obviously, Square Enix was very big in that with, Final Fantasy IV and Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger and Secret of Mana, and the list goes on and on. Um, and during that time, Konami was making a lot of great games, and Capcom was making a lot of great games, and I wasn't I wasn't in the Sega ecosystem yet, just because obviously
Hmm.
my family was like, you're getting one system, and that was it. Um,
Oh yeah, me too.
so I wasn't big into Sega, but yeah, it was definitely during the SNES era where my taste in video games developed. I had an NES in the family, and I played NES games at friends' homes, but I didn't really kind of know, like, okay, these are the genres I like. I was too young. I would just kind of play anything. But it was during the SNES era that I really kind of developed. Okay, wow, I like RPGs. I like Nintendo games. I like platformers. And that's kind of how it developed, where I would just found myself buying just a lot more games out of Japan.
Yeah, I guess if you grow up with those games, like most of the games were coming from Japan, and then yeah, if you are like a big Nintendo fan, that would like continue, and yeah,
Yeah.
until today we're like yeah, we saw Nintendo still going very strong, especially in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, and video game magazines were very important to me back then. I
Oh
had
yeah,
subscriptions to Nintendo Power and Game
oh nice.
Pro and EGM. I had those subscriptions, so obviously you read the magazines, you read about the games that are coming. That was the only way we knew back then, because we didn't have the internet. So that also went a long way in kind of getting me excited about different games that I might not have known about otherwise.
Yeah, back in the day, I used to be buy a lot of magazines as well, and enjoy reading about like video game news. I guess that's why I like doing like this Twitter stuff these days because of like those early days of just buying loads of video game magazines. But yeah, I grew up in the UK, so I was buying like UK gaming magazines. Like there was like one called like Games Master, and then they had like the official PlayStation and Nintendo magazines and stuff like that as well. But yeah, I really liked buying those, and yeah, kind of sad magazines are dying out these days. But I guess in Japan they still have a couple like Famitsu, and even though like they're getting less and less, like they used to have a PlayStation one in Japan, but that died off. So now they only have like Nintendo ones and Famitsu in
Yeah, and
Japan.
then there's still some gaming magazines. There's Game Informer, and I know in the UK there's Retro Gamer, and then there's some other ones too. But that's not like the place people go to for news. It's really more an enthusiast thing. But I still enjoy it. I actually still like enjoy reading really old magazines just to see what people
Oh
thought
yeah,
back
yeah.
then, and where the industry was, or where they thought the industry was going.
Yeah, sometimes I like looking back at like maybe like GameCube era magazines. I found that era quite fun, or quite nostalgic anyway. But yeah, yeah. But thanks for the origin stories there, and yeah, it's really interesting to see how like you got into video games and yeah, those games from Japan as well. That's really cool. Okay, so let's move on to the next part of the show, which we're going to go through the latest news from the last few weeks. Story number one. Super Mario Bros. Wonder launches as the biggest launch in Europe. So yeah, we got news this week of the launch of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which had a really big launch in Europe, which Nintendo Europe came out and said that the launch of Super Mario Bros. Wonder was the biggest launch for a Mario game in Europe. And we also got some sales numbers from Japan, in which Super Mario Bros. Wonder launched with sales of 638,000 units sold physically in its first week on sale. So, Stealth, I know you're a big fan of Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and yeah, I'd just like to know what you thought about the news of the launch, which was quite a big launch for the game in Europe and in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think most people assumed Super Mario Brothers Wonder would be a big success. But when, over the last 40 years, there's as many Mario games as there are, it's always impressive when, a new record is broken, and so what Super Mario Brothers Wonder did, particularly in Europe and Japan, is very, very impressive. Specifically in Japan, it being the biggest Mario launch on Switch, which is no stranger to big launches in Japan. So that was very, very impressive, and I'm hoping Nintendo will still put out a press release, about the global launch, and and we won't have to wait until the February financial update to kind of
I see. Yeah, it'll
learn
be quite a
what,
while, right?
yeah, to kind of learn what the sales are, because right now it's kind of piecemeal. We know a little bit in Europe and we know a little bit in Japan, but we don't really know like how big it was totally.
Oh yeah, in terms of worldwide, yeah, we don't really know the sales at the moment. Yeah, because we only got some numbers from Japan, but yeah, in Europe they just said the biggest launch ever.
Yeah.
But and Nintendo of America didn't say anything.
Yeah, and
So
obviously Mario Wonder was probably pretty big in the US too.
yeah,
Assuming it was.
it's definitely going to be the largest market for the game, or have the biggest sales in the world. The US as usual. So yeah, hopefully we get update, but it's already been like a week or something, so I'm not sure they will do the opening sales like the first, or maybe they could do like the first 10 days maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
First 10
yeah, I
days.
mean, it might be a little too late for launch now, but maybe they'll put it out like once it sells like 10 million or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, but yeah, I definitely think it'll get to 10 million soon or before the end of the year. So, yeah, hopefully they put out some sales numbers for that as well. Yeah, that'd be cool. I think it was quite impressive that it was the highest launch in Europe for any Mario game ever. So that's quite an impressive stat. And in Japan, it sold 638,000 units, which is a really good launch. And I think it's one of the best launches for like a 2D Mario game in Japan. So, and it's higher than Mario Odyssey. So what do you think about the Japan sales? Were you quite impressed with those figures?
Yeah, I mean, I did tweet about this too. New Super Mario Brothers on the DS and New Super Mario Brothers Wii both sold over 900,000 in their launch week. Obviously that's before digital sales. So we don't really know how Wonder did digitally and how close it got to like 900,000 or if it was over 900,000. But for a 2D Mario game, obviously if we look at overall Switch launches, many of which are the biggest launches ever in Japan, like Animal Crossing and Pokemon and Smash Brothers and all these other games, 600,000 physically isn't that impressive. But for a 2D Mario game now, I think it is. And it's just gonna kind of keep going up and being around for this entire holiday period. It's gonna have legs because whenever someone buys it over the holidays, they're probably gonna get Mario Wonder too.
Yeah, I think it'll be a big seller over the holidays as well for sure. Yeah, I hope we don't have to wait until February to get the next update for those sales.
Yeah, I hope
But
not. Yeah, thankfully we have Famitsu every week, so at least we can figure out what's going on in Japan. The U.S. it's just a lot more difficult. Well, we will have the new I forget what the new name is, but the NPD
oh yeah, the
and yeah
Sakana thing. Yeah,
and
but that comes out like a month later. So
yeah,
yeah,
which is
that's true.
unfortunate. But at least we know the launch was pretty big. That's all we can say.
Yeah, definitely a really big launch. And oh yeah, just I did a tweet about the Mario launch compared to Sonic, and then like a lot of the like Sonic
Yeah.
haters online went crazy and like jumped on it. It was a bit crazy. Yeah, it's not really like I know it's like a fair comparison in terms of like they're both 2D side-scrolling games releasing at the same time, but in terms of like the popularity in Japan, I tweeted that like Mario did 600, like over 600k, and then Sonic only managed to sell 4,000 units, or Sonic Superstars only managed to sell 4,000 units on the Switch, and then the PlayStation and PS5 versions didn't even chart in the top 30, which was kind of a shame. And yeah, I thought that was like just bad timing. I mean, Sonic's not that popular in the first place in Japan in terms of the sales, but I think launching next to Mario made it even worse. I thought like even the PS5 and PS4 versions didn't chart as well. So yeah, did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I talked about it before launch. If I was Sega, I would have probably delayed the game until November. Maybe that wouldn't have been possible. I'm not in game development, but I do know that as soon as Mario Wonder came out, the kind of discussion about Sonic Superstars kind of died out. Nobody was talking about it, at least from what I was seeing in my feed. Everything went to Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Um, you know, and it's not just comparing the quality and never between Sonic and Mario. It's just you know two 2D platformers releasing so close together. It just didn't end up being a good idea. And I don't think it'll be a good idea in the U.S. either. When we see those charts, you know, uh, I just think that Sonic needed space away from one of the biggest Nintendo games of the year.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Yeah, it'll be definitely interesting to see the reports from the US. I think we got some sales from the UK and it was like number 4, but even those people were saying it could have done better.
Yeah, and obviously, and it's true, Sonic games don't do great in Japan. They never have. But, there's always opportunity to get better.
Hmm.
Sonic Frontier sold over 40,000.
Yeah, that one did quite decent. Yeah.
Yeah, so for this game to just sell, 4,000 units physically, that's not trending in the right direction. Um, and you can say, oh, Sonic games never do well, but, a lot of them don't do that poorly either. 4,000 units. So yeah, it was just a bad idea, and I'm sure next week, Sonic it'll be off the charts for the it'll be out of the top 10 for Switch 2.
Yeah, I was really shocked that not even the PlayStation versions like got in the top 30, which was like had a minimum of like 1,500 units. So that was like quite surprising to me. So yeah, but yeah, hopefully it can stay in the chart a bit longer, and hopefully they improve the sales over the holidays. Somehow. So let's move on to story number 2, which is or another. We had some more layoffs in the video game industry. There's been quite a lot of layoffs recently, but I just want to talk about the layoffs at Media Molecule. And we had a report from Sports Illustrated, and this was reported by VGC, by Chris Scullion from VGC. It says Dreams and Little Big Planet developer Media Molecule is to lay off 15 to 20% of its staff. And yeah, there was a report that the studio held an internal meeting and told staff that it planned to lay off around 20 of its 135 employees. And this news comes a month after Media Molecule ended support for Dreams, which was released in early access in April 2019 before officially launching in February 2020. And yeah, also we had confirmation from Media Molecule, and they put out a tweet that's saying that they are undergoing significant strategic changes. They kind of confirmed that this story was true. Did you hear about this story, Stealth? And what did you think about it?
Yeah, I did. I really like Media Molecule as a studio. I'm a fan of the Little Big Planet series. I bought all three games, and I like Tearaway too. And in any industry, it's really a horrible thing when people go through layoffs. I've been through layoffs myself. Most people will in their life, and it's not fun. But I guess Dreams didn't have the commercial application that they thought they would, I think. It was highly impressive what Dreams was able to do, but it just never hit a point where, it was a commercially viable kind of game thing, I think. Um, so it's always a shame when like a creative studio like that has to downsize. It's just not fun. But they did say that they are kind of gearing up for their next game, which I hope is more of a game, more of a video game, and less of a platform for creation.
Yeah, I hope they are making like a new, like standard maybe platformer is what they're good at, right? So traditionally, so maybe I hope they can make a new kind of traditional video game that is they can sell like commercially and it can be a success. Yeah, I think yeah, what Dreams like I haven't played it, but it just seemed like very abstract to me. Like I'm someone who likes like art and designing stuff, but that game didn't really appeal to me. So I guess it didn't have that mass appeal to like be like a commercial success, which is sad. Yeah, and I enjoyed the early Little Big Planet games, like you said as well, and Tearaway. So yeah, it's kind of sad how they haven't been really making proper video games for like almost 10 years. So I hope they can turn it around. I think they got like a BAFTA award, and like I think that gave them some more time or some more good grace from Sony, like getting those kind of like prestigious awards. But now is the time where like yeah they have to start making some results. Because yeah, I think Sony is not shy of like closing down studios, like they did that a lot before, like with Studio Liverpool and Japan Studios. So yeah, hopefully it doesn't get to that. Yeah, I hope they can turn it around. And as you said, yeah, with they have many fans of their games, and hope they can make a game that's like more commercially viable and successful as well. Okay, so let's go on to story number 3. And yeah, we had a bunch of Xbox news, including like the Activision Blizzard purchase closed over the last couple of weeks. And Xbox also held a Xbox Partner Preview, and they've had a shake-up in their leadership roles. So let's go through the Activision Blizzard thing first. Yeah, personally, I'm not a big fan of Activision Blizzard games, so I was not really following the developments that closely. But yeah, I'm just glad that the news for the acquisition is over. And I am a big fan of Tony Hawk, so hopefully they can bring that back somehow. But yeah, did you have any opinions on the Activision Blizzard acquisition first?
Yeah, so I'm kind of like you. There aren't many Activision Blizzard properties I really care about. So like I don't think whether their games are exclusive or not, it's not going to change my life. Obviously, and I'm not a big fan of consolidation in general. I could really just hate it. But it's reality now, so this is the new reality. In terms of Activision and Blizzard, um, so I'm fine with it now. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna change my life in any significant way, just because I don't really play Activision Blizzard games to begin with. But I'm hoping, and unfortunately, when there is consolidation, as we just talked about, it kind of breeds layoffs sometimes. So I'm hoping nothing like that happens.
Yeah, I hope not more layoffs. Yeah, because it's kind of like an industry trend at the moment, all these layoffs. So it wouldn't be surprising if after such a big acquisition, there's even more layoffs. But hopefully not, as you said. But yeah, I think also Japan is not very interested in like Activision Blizzard games. I don't think their games are that popular in Japan. Like Call of Duty is not very popular. So yeah, this story didn't really make the news in Japan much, and I don't think many people are talking about it in Japan, but it's big news in the West. And yeah, the only thing I hope for is some more Tony Hawks. I want the Tony Hawk 3 and 4 remake. and yeah, maybe some more Tony Hawk's games. That would be awesome. And we also got a partner preview that Xbox held in the last week, and they did show some cool games. There was two in particular. They had the Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth with the new Animal Crossing like mode, and they showed a new in-game engine trailer for Metal Gear Solid Delta, which is the remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Did you manage to check any of that out still?
I actually did watch the partner preview, and maybe controversial to say, I thought the partner preview was pretty bad.
Oh, okay.
But that's only because it's like, it's just hard not to compare things to Nintendo Directs, and how they do things. And one thing Nintendo Directs have, most games at least have a release date or a release window. Games aren't just shown and then, we don't know when they're coming out. And then there's also like really big surprises. So like I feel like, if you plan something like this, you need to have both, release dates and surprises. And I just didn't feel like that part was there. Obviously it had some really good games, but, I felt like a lot of this could have been, tweets or, press releases or something like that. So I didn't think the actual event itself was that great. But I am going to buy Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake. And I'm definitely, I've made this vow. I haven't played Yakuza Like a Dragon yet. But it's definitely on my list, and I really want to play, Infinite Wealth. It just looks crazy, and I think that like Animal Crossing mode is awesome. So I really really like that. So those were definitely like the two highlights for me. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And even though I didn't think the Xbox partner preview was the best, that doesn't mean I'd want them to stop doing it. I want them to keep doing it. I want them to keep improving on it, because the pacing was good. No game was shown for too long, I thought. But, I feel like if you're going to put on a showcase, you got to have some pretty big surprises, in my opinion.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I think if you compare it to like Nintendo Directs or even State of Plays, then yeah, I guess it's doesn't like measure up as well. But yeah, I thought it was decent. I don't think they really like over advertised it or like overhyped it in any way, because they just said it was like a third party thing. So like, and they said like there won't be any like Activision Blizzard games or anything like that. So the thing I liked about it was like the format, like you said, because it was quite breezy. There was no like fluff in between the trailers, and the trailers weren't that long. So I thought like the format was really good. But yeah, in terms of the content, yeah, I was only interested in the Like a Dragon and Metal Gear Solid. I thought Metal Gear Solid was a nice surprise because I wasn't expecting to see it at the Xbox show. So I thought that was a good surprise. But yeah, the other stuff, yeah, I thought maybe they could put that out as a tweet or something. But yeah, overall, yeah, I'd like to see them develop the format, as you said, and hopefully it can improve. And yeah, with more surprises as well. Oh yeah, and like you said, yeah, yeah, there wasn't that many release dates as well, so that would be cool to get some release dates for some of the games like Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, that's true. And they didn't overhype it. Now, I thought Xbox actually did a good job of setting expectations. Obviously on the internet that doesn't really work, and people's expectations go crazy, and then we see the event and we come back down to earth. But yeah, like I do like Virtuous Studio, who is making the remake. They've done a lot of good Switch ports, so I'm a fan that they're getting their hands on kind of a meteor project like this.
Yeah, it's quite a meaty project. Yeah, and they said it's in Unreal Engine 5, and it looked quite impressive. So hopefully the gameplay also lines up with the graphical presentation. But yeah, that's one's looking quite fun. And also we got some news about some Xbox reorganization. So they have promoted Matt Booty to President of Game Content and Studios, and Sarah Bond has been promoted to President of Xbox overseeing all of the Xbox platform in terms of hardware and software. And then Phil Spencer will remain as Microsoft head of gaming. So yeah, do you have any thoughts on those new positions for Xbox?
I don't really know much about Matt Booty. I'm not super deep into like the Xbox ecosystem or what he does. So I'm not going to comment that much on that. But Sarah Bond I do like. It's a good hire for a lot of reasons, or it's a good promotion for a lot of reasons. But she seems to be in tune with the Xbox community. She's very knowledgeable. And she's obviously very good at her job. So yeah, I think it's gonna end up being a good thing.
That's cool. Yeah, me too. I don't really know Matt Booty as well. I think he was like head of the games or maybe the different studios, and then Sarah Bond was previously head of like third party relations and different like games on their platform. So yeah, I think it's a good they're good like promotions they've done there. And yeah, I'm a big fan of Sarah Bond. And yeah, I'm really happy that she can be like the president of Xbox now, overseeing the entire platform. And it'll be interesting to see what she does there. And I do know she's like, when she comes to Japan, she always says like it's her favorite trip of the year. So hopefully that's a good sign for like getting more Xbox projects from Japan. And I know they're working on like already they have the Kojima game as an exclusive, and they're also working with another Japanese third party to make another AAA game. So hopefully they can make more Japanese games and published by Xbox. And yeah, I think with Sarah Bond behind that, I think they'll have some more deals with Japanese publishers to make like Xbox exclusive games. Which should be quite exciting. But I know, yeah, Stealth, you're not a big Xbox guy, but yeah, it would be cool just to get some more content from Japan.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for that ecosystem, if that's what they want, then yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good thing. I'm not a fan of studio acquisitions, but I'm not against exclusive deals for games and things. Those end up being good things. So yeah, I mean, obviously Nintendo and PlayStation do it all the time. So there's no reason why Xbox can't either.
Yeah, Nintendo and PlayStation, they have a lot of third-party exclusives. So yeah, Xbox should. I think they're trying to catch up in terms of the Japanese side. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that in the future. Okay, so next to story number 4. Which is Spider-Man 2 launches as the fastest selling PlayStation Studios game with 2.5 million units sold in one day. Stealth, what did you think of the Spider-Man 2 launch?
Yeah, so it's funny because Mario Wonder and Spider-Man released on the same day. I prioritized Mario, and I just finished that, and yesterday I just started playing Spider-Man, and I'm really, really early on, just at the very beginning, and I think it's fantastic. But yeah, I'm not surprised because the original Spider-Man is one of PlayStation's biggest games. I mean, I think it sold over 20 million units,
Yeah.
which is crazy. So yeah, I'm not surprised that it broke records and it did that well. Obviously sales are definitely more lopsided to the West because it only sold it sold 77,000 physical copies, probably around 150,000 in Japan. So most of the sales coming from the West. But yeah, I'm not surprised at all because Spider-Man was so big.
Yeah, I was quite happy about that because I was surprised they only announced the day one sales, but I think that's probably because it didn't like outsell God of War, which I think it did 5.1 million in I think it was 4 or 5 days or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it was like the biggest 3-day launch too, they probably would have mentioned that too.
Yeah. But I think it's like a PR beat. They want to make it like the biggest thing ever. So they had the day one sales down. So they just announced that. So yeah, that's what I think happened. But it's kind of understandable considering like the size of the PlayStation 5 install base, which is probably a lot less than the previous games, because I think it's like 40 million PS5s been sold so far. So I think it's still quite decent and a really good result for Sony to get that many sales in just one day. It's quite impressive.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Sony really hasn't had a great year overall. I mean, Spider-Man 2 is their only game of the year,
Hmm.
but it's a big game, and it was a good game. So, if you're only going to have one game,
Yeah, not a bad one
this
to
is
have.
the good one to have. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think Sony they're having a bit of they seem they're a bit of trouble recently. Like Jim Ryan announced he's leaving, and they had some other departures, and the live service thing is not really working out. So that's kind of sad to see. But yeah, in terms of Spider-Man 2, like it's a super amazing game, and yeah, I bought it day one as well, and I'm still playing it now, and yeah, it's super impressive. Like Insomniac, they're like just like wizards. What they're doing with the PlayStation 5, and their output is like super crazy. I think this is like their third PS5 game already, and when like other PlayStation studios haven't even put out one, like PlayStation 5 like game, like a new one. We've had some remakes and stuff, but yeah, I think their efficiency and output is like super crazy good. And yeah, I'm really impressed how much they've improved with Spider-Man 2, like the combat and the open world traversal. It's really impressive. But yeah, I think Sony, yeah, they're not having the best year, and like next year's looking kind of spooky as well, right? In terms of first party, because we don't really have anything announced apart from they have like the Helldivers and Wolverine, but yeah, with the Last of Us live service game seemingly cancelled, yeah, they don't really have that much from first party studios, even though they do have some third party deals like Rise of the Ronin and Stellar Blade. But apart from that, it's looking a bit empty for next year. Yeah, what do you think about PlayStation's push for like games as a service?
Obviously I'm not part of that. I'm not really the audience for that at all. I would prefer that they stick to single player games. I would prefer they have more diversity in their single player games in terms of like art style and genre and all of that, which they haven't had for a long time. But yeah, I'll be happy when they kind of refocus on single player games and having a better kind of release cadence in terms of like how many games they're releasing every quarter.
I'm kind of happy that hopefully they are like lessening their focus on the games as a service. Because yeah, I'm a big fan of PlayStation, but I'm not a fan of live service games at all. So yeah, I really don't want to see them go too heavy into that. And but yeah, like you said, it'll be good if they can diversify their portfolio of games. Yeah, I've always been sad that they've like kind of removed a lot of focus from Japan or their Japanese side. I understand like why they had to close Japan studio, because it wasn't like making that many hits, and maybe some of the management at the studio wasn't the greatest, and the games took a long time to develop and get released, and they weren't so commercially successful. But I thought it was a shame that they couldn't invest again in other areas in Japan. They just kind of left Japan and then like just left it with two studios, like Team Asobi and Polyphony Digital. So hopefully, like the new leadership, they can start investing more in Japan. In not only like the third party relationships, which they do quite well, but more like first party PlayStation Studio stuff from Japan is what I'd like to see. And yeah, like diversify the games, as you said. Let's move on to story number 5. The Level 5 25th anniversary of recording. Yesterday was the 25th anniversary of Level 5, and they opened up a new website, and they announced that they'll be announcing the release dates of their future titles sometimes in the next month, which is in November. So congratulations to Level 5 for 25th anniversary, and yeah, I hope we get those release dates soon. Yeah, so what did you think about that, Stealth?
So I'm a big fan of Level 5. I really always have been. I pretty much own all of their
Oh
physical
wow.
releases in the West, for every game that they've made. But it's been
Yeah.
a rough couple of years. You know, they've had games delayed indefinitely. They really just didn't care so much about non-Japanese sales anymore. So it was kind of a rough time to be a fan. But it kind of really turned around during the February Nintendo Direct, where all of a sudden Level 5 announced like 3 or 4 games, and then the feelings kind of shifted, and I want to support all those games. And part of the 25th anniversary is Hino, the president, said that in November they're finally going to give some release dates for their games. I was a little shocked. We went through Tokyo Game Show and they didn't give any release dates at all, especially because many of those games, at least in Japan, still have 2023 release dates. And I'm hoping they'll and they have said that they're going to really focus on global launches and making sure that all games are available everywhere. But we haven't heard about physical releases yet. I'm sure they'll have them. But I am very anxious to hear when some of these games are coming out. But I do like their current lineup. Fantasy Life I looks good. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Deca Police. You played it at Tokyo Game Show, and from what I heard, it was a great game. And obviously, Professor Layton is coming, and there have been hints that a new Yokai Watch is in development. And so, I like a lot of what they're doing. They just need to give us release dates and physical releases so we can buy them.
Yeah, I was ashamed. Yeah, I was super surprised at Tokyo Game Show that they didn't have any release dates, especially for like the games that you said that are coming out this year, like Deca Police, for example. And I played it at the Tokyo Game Show, and it's super fun. And I was really impressed, like by the graphics and the presentation as well. So yeah, it kind of went beyond my expectations in terms of the gameplay and the game. So yeah, I thought it looked really cool. But yeah, as you said, it's taking a while to get release dates out. And yeah, do you think they will still be in 2023, or do you think it'll be pushed out? Because it's kind of last minute. We're already in November when they're going to announce it, and they only have like 2 months to release the games. So when do you think, like for example, Deca Police will be released?
I think maybe like one game will release this year, and maybe it's like their like online mech game. But I could see most of it being pushed to next year. Which I don't know if that's a good thing for a studio that hasn't had a hit in a while. I maybe they're doing okay in other areas. But yeah, I'd be pretty shocked if like the 3 or 4 games they said were releasing this year are actually releasing this year.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I definitely can't see Deca Police coming out this year. I'll be really surprised.
Yeah, because they actually changed like the gameplay between the
Oh
first
really?
trailer.
I didn't notice that. What was it? What was it like in the first trailer?
Well, it was more of a turn-based RPG where you control all the characters individually, and they all have different health bars and gauges and things like
Oh,
that.
okay.
And then they changed it to where you only control Harvard, and then you give commands to the others.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and I think that's what it was at Tokyo Game Show.
yeah.
But yeah, so they did, which is weird. So like from the first trailer, completely different gameplay than the second trailer.
That's
So it's like
that's hilarious.
so it's like it can't be that close.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah, Level 5, they definitely make you scratch your head, especially with how they're operating in the last few years. Like
Yeah.
last year, they weren't had zero presence at Tokyo Game Show, and then this year, this had magically had this massive booth showing like 4 games of. Yeah, it's they're a anomaly sometimes.
Yeah, I want to love them, but it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and I hope the game's release soon. And yeah, I'll be looking forward to that November uh, announcement of the release dates. And yeah, probably unlikely that they'll come out this year, but hopefully it's not too far away. But yeah, I think they should avoid February because February is already looking super stacked in terms of like RPGs next year. We got like the Grand Blue Fantasy and Persona 3 Reload and Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. So I'm not sure if they should do February, but at least try to find a good release date or a good window for those games for sure. Okay, and story number 6 is Capcom said they had one unannounced major title that will be releasing before the end of the financial year, which is ends in April 2024. So by March 2024, they should be releasing one major unannounced game. Yeah, so that's what they said at their Capcom investor meeting. And do you have any thoughts on what that game might be?
So, I've seen a lot of discussion on this, and, I've seen some people thinking that maybe there's something lost in translation and it's really just, Dragon's Dogma 2.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I've seen that, and I kind of almost believe it, where it's like, if they had another major game, you'd think, there'd be rumors about it or they'd have announced it by now. Um, Obviously there's still the Game Awards to make it a game announcement, but it's the Game Awards where you want to announce like the next Monster Hunter. I don't know. Obviously there's also the annual Nintendo Direct in February, and they could have a very short release window for whatever that is if it's announced there. But there's not too many more places where it could get announced. I guess I've seen a lot of people say it's Monster Hunter. I just feel like why not announce that already? Because people are gonna be looking forward. I guess there's no reason because a game that big like you can announce it like in a week and then people will buy millions of copies. So it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I guess most people think it's Monster Hunter.
That makes sense as well. Yeah, I thought it would be Dragon's Dogma 2 as well, but because like it was playable at the Tokyo Game Show, so you think like that would be the closest to release since they already have it in like playable to the public. Yeah, from the investor meeting, he did say it was like an unannounced title, so that makes me think, oh, it must be something new that they haven't officially announced yet. And yeah, that would like in terms of a major game, that could only be Monster Hunter or like a new Resident Evil game. And since we got RE4 this year, I doubt they would have another one ready. There are rumors of what the next remake game would be, Code Veronica. Yeah, that's what I heard. And then RE9, it seems like still a bit of a way off. So maybe not next year. And so yeah, I guess Monster Hunter would be the most likely in terms of like deduction. Yeah, and I think Dragon's Dogma, it like the playable demo I tried, it still looked quite early, so it didn't really look like a polished, like close to release game.
Yeah, and it's possible they're just saying this to investors now, and then they're just going to delay the game.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like there's no guarantee like whatever they say this is going to actually release.
Yeah, that's true as well. But yeah, it'll be exciting to see, and yeah, hopefully it's a new Monster Hunter game. That would be cool, a good surprise for like early next year. Yeah, and then next year will be really stacked if they release the new Monster Hunter game in the early 2024. That'd be quite crazy. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Okay, and yeah, just for our last thing I wanted to talk to you about stuff is Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. Are you looking forward to the game? And yeah, what's your thoughts? Because for me, it's like my most anticipated game for next year already. But I know you're like also have your eye on it. So I just wanted to hear like some of your thoughts on that game.
Yeah, I always love when you tweet about it. You seem to get some stories that I don't see, so I always appreciate that. I can definitely say it's my most anticipated PS5 game. For sure. Like it's not even close.
Yeah, yeah.
I love. I wasn't happy with everything Final Fantasy VII Remake did. But overall, like I love the music, I love the visuals, I love the combat. I really had an amazing time with that game, and this game just seems like it's on another level. It looks great, so I'm really looking forward to it. Um, yeah, there's not much. I liked Final Fantasy 16 too, and this is always controversial to say because Final Fantasy fans don't want you to compare anything.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
I liked Final Fantasy 16. I liked the music. I loved the story. I just wasn't a huge fan of the combat and how it's more action based. You control one character. It's a lot less nuanced, in my opinion. I like being able to control a party. I like being able to customize the party. Beyond just kind of superficially. So there's a lot about Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth that's really speaking to me. So like out of all the games releasing in February, and there's a lot that I do want to play. I want to play Mario vs. Donkey Kong Remake that comes out in February. I want to play Grand Blue Relink that comes out in February. So Final Fantasy is at the top for me. Like I'm gonna drop everything for that game.
Yeah, well, totally. Me too. Yeah, I might have to take off some holidays or something. Yeah, I'm really excited for that game. But yeah, I think especially the beginning of next year is like super stacked, especially for Japanese RPGs. So yeah, that's gonna be a really interesting time. And yeah, I think Final Fantasy Rebirth is gonna be a really good game. And yeah, I think as you said, like Final Fantasy 16, it was like probably my favorite game of this year. Just because I had like a lot of fun playing it, and I did enjoy the combat. But yeah, as you said, like there wasn't much customization in terms of the characters. I thought there would be like more customization in terms of like character skill trees, because I think the customization was just like abilities, but there wasn't much customization in terms of the character, what they could do, or like in terms of like character customization. So I think in Rebirth they definitely have more of that. You can like customize the loadouts and equipment a bit more, and the materia, which has a big effect on how the players play. So I think I'm really looking forward to that. And it seems like really extensive, like especially they have like tons of new materia and new material combinations, which like really adds extra layer of customization to the gameplay. So I'm really looking forward to those like new materials, because they have like these materials like fire and ice material, which like you have like 2 in 1, and they have all these cool new materials that you can craft and level up as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to like the new gameplay, and like there's like tons of mini games as well, which I'm really looking forward to as well. There's like a crazy amount of mini games, like the G bike and other ones.
Yeah, I'm excited for that too. I'm also curious, obviously, like how they're gonna weave Zack into this story.
Oh yeah.
And we know like where the story is gonna end, but we don't really know
Mm-hmm.
the details. So I'm definitely curious about the story. But yeah, it's definitely my number one PS5 game right now for next year.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't want to say game overall because we're very likely looking at a new Nintendo system.
Mm.
So there could probably gonna be a lot of reveals for that, but
Oh, okay, yeah.
definitely for PlayStation, it's number one.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, we'll probably get the new like Switch 2 or whatever it will be called next year. So that's a good point. And yeah, what would your biggest Nintendo game you'll be looking forward to next year?
Yeah, I guess it's funny. I guess that's another remake. It's probably Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door
Oh,
remake.
nice. Yeah, that's
Um,
really cool.
One of my favorite GameCube games. Very expensive to get now in the secondhand market,
Mm.
eBay in the U.S. Um, but just one of my favorite games. It's so much fun. The writing is just so good. The combat's fun. It's just a great game that didn't get enough attention on the GameCube, and now it's coming to like one of the biggest RPG systems of all time in the Switch. So I'm definitely excited for that. It was recently trademarked, or it was recently trademarked in, or no, it was rated. It was rated in Brazil and I think South Korea. So hopefully the game isn't too far away.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that one looks cool. Yeah, I only played the original one like a little bit, but yeah, I would want to like play the full game, and I think this remake could be a good chance to do that. So yeah, it's looking really cool there. Yeah, thanks for that. And when do you think the new Switch will be released? Do you have like any predictions or any like
Um,
insights?
I think it's going to be holiday next year. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because it's funny. because in Japan, Switch has actually sold more this year than it has last year.
Oh, that's
So at
crazy.
least in Japan, like it just doesn't die.
Yeah. It's doing really well in Japan.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be holiday.
Oh, okay, holiday next year. Yeah, I think I'd have to agree. And yeah, that's what some of the reports are saying as well. So, yeah, that'll be cool. And um, yeah, I think PlayStation in Japan they need to fix up before then. Otherwise, it's going to be like a even worse bloodbath. Like if
It will because a lot of the games that are skipping Switch will come to it now.
yeah, a lot of those
Um,
third-party multi-platform releases. Yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, we'll see about that. Also, yeah, there's like this thing about PlayStation. They have a goal of hitting 25 million PS5 sold in the year, and I like personally, I don't think they have a chance to do that, especially like with the games they're releasing. They only have Spider-Man as the big release, and like recently like they raised the product price with the Slim. So like yeah, I don't think they can hit that, especially in Japan. I don't think their sales will improve that much to hit like those record breaking like best ever year for PlayStation ever, 25 million in a year. Yeah, and I think next year once the Switch is announced, then yeah, I think it won't be looking so good for PlayStation in Japan, as you said. But yeah, we'll have to see.
yeah, and they said that they're still confident about that 25 million.
Yeah, that was crazy. In my opinion, that was crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, so I mean,
maybe
we'll
they
see.
see something we don't. But like, I
Yeah,
thought they were gonna do it. Like, I was really pretty confident about that because of the Slim. But like, usually the Slim is supposed to make things more affordable for like the consumer. But they like raised the prices, so I'm like,
yeah.
oh, okay. I don't personally see how they can like have these record sales this holiday, with the Slim model, considering like the entry point's more expensive, and in Japan like both versions are more expensive. Yeah, but yeah, we'll have to see if they can do that. But yeah, as you said, they said they were still confident, which was kind of strange. But hopefully they can do it. That would be cool. But we'll have to see. Next, we're going to talk about what we've been playing. So in this section, we'll just talk about what we've been playing recently. So Stealth, is there any games you've been playing recently?
So yeah, I mean, I just finished Super Mario Brothers Wonder. I've been playing that for the
Nice.
last week. I mean, it only came out, like a week ago. But I've been playing it a little bit every day, and yeah, it's just amazing. One of my favorite 2D platformers I played in a very, very long time. Deservingly, it's probably going to be nominated for one of the 6 spots for Game of the Year at the Game Awards.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, it's just super fun. And I was depressed when I finally just took the card out of my Switch.
Oh no.
Um, and I put the case away, so that was depressing.
Oh wow.
I also like to play a lot of retro games. So I've also been playing Dragon Quest 7 on the 3DS.
Oh, awesome.
And I'm already up to like 70 hours in that.
Oh wow. That's crazy.
And I'm nowhere near to being done, just as long as it was on the original PlayStation. Um, so yeah, I've been really enjoying that too, just to kind of play more older RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just as I finished as I finished Mario Wonder, I picked up Spider-Man. So that's what I'm playing now.
Oh, nice. That's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing Super Mario Wonder too, or Super Mario Bros. Wonder as well. But yeah, I think I'll get it maybe around Christmas time, when things are a bit busy, because my backlog is like already super crazy.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, this year it's been crazy for games. But yeah, I'm liking what people have been saying about the game, how it's like really good and really creative as well. And yeah, like personally, I'm not like the biggest 2D Mario game. Like I prefer the 3D Mario's better. Um, but this one looks really fun to me. Like I played Odyssey and the new Super Mario. What's it called? Super Mario Bros. The World.
Oh, did you
Bowser's.
play 3D World plus Bowser's
Yeah,
Fury?
that one. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I really enjoyed that. And yeah, the Bowser's Fury one was really good as well. I really enjoyed that as well. So yeah, I think I'm a more of like a 3D Mario guy. But this one does look a lot of fun. So I think I'll pick it up around Christmas time, for this one. But I think some reviewers said it's like a mix of like 2D and 3D Mario. So, did you find that, or not really? Is it like more like
You
traditional
know, it,
2D?
it, it, it has a lot of the like wacky ideas of 3D Mario, just put in a 2D platformer.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Like the
there's
different
no
power
actual
ups and
3D
stuff.
platforming in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. That sounds cool. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. Maybe I'll play it around the Christmas time. Yeah, and then I've also been playing Spider-Man 2, like you, and yeah, that's really amazing game, and I'm really impressed with like the traversal and how much like quality, and really feel like Insomniac are just like flexing with this game, like with like the different traversal you can do and the cool abilities and the cinematics. And yeah, it is a very like PlayStation like third person over the shoulder camera cinematic game, but in terms of the gameplay and the open world, yeah, it's really doing a lot of cool things. And it's they're really like, it feels like they're just showing off with some of the set pieces that they're doing there. But yeah, it's a really cool game. And apart from that, I have a son, and he's like 7 years old now, so he's just old enough where he can like play games properly. And we've been playing a lot of co-op games together. We just started It Takes Two, which is like the two-player game. I think it's from EA Originals or something. And yeah, that one's a really fun game. And we've been playing Overcooked, and we just finished Human Fall Flat. So yeah, we're just going through like loads of co-op games at the moment, which is really fun. So yeah, that's what I've been playing at the moment.
Yeah, he'll soon be ready for Nintendo.
Oh yeah, yeah. We tried to play like the new Super Mario Bros. The 2D one. But yeah, then he's not that good yet.
Yeah.
He can't he's much better at 3D games, I think. Like 2D side scrolling games. He's I think he's because he plays Roblox a lot, so I think he's better at the 3D games. He plays like Roblox and Minecraft a lot, so yeah.
Yeah, that's what the kids play these days.
Yeah, that's true. That's cool. Okay, and thanks for that stuff. I just had one question for you in the question section, and that's about game of the year. Like, do you have a personal game of the year, and also, do you have any predictions for like the Game Awards? What you think will be the 6 nominees for the Game Awards? What you predict they will be?
Yeah, so it's tricky because I feel like obviously Baldur's Gate 3 was highly critically acclaimed and is very very good. And Zelda was the same way, and I think Zelda definitely has a chance to win. In terms of like the 6 picks, I think it's going to be Zelda, Baldur's Gate, Super Mario Brothers Wonder, um, Resident Evil 4 remake, perhaps Alan Wake, and then Spider Man. And I think Zelda is just going. I think Zelda's gonna win.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Um, in terms of my personal game of the year, I put 300. I put a lot of. I put many, many, many hours, probably like over 200 hours into Zelda.
Oh wow.
And I
Okay.
loved it. I found the experience stressful too,
Mhm.
just because I explored everything and I had to get most of the Korok seas, and I forgot that I went up that mountain, so then I had to go to it.
Okay.
So like the open world was like a little too open for me.
Mhm.
I'm not a huge fan of open world games, so I really enjoyed it. I put a ton of time into it. Um, but I have to say, like Octopath Traveler 2
Mm.
really connected with me.
Awesome.
Um, I love that game. That might be my personal game of the year.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I still have to get to that one, but yeah, that is looking really impressive. Octopath. And did you like the soundtrack as well? Is that good?
Oh yeah, the soundtrack. Yeah, I mean, I'll be disappointed. I'll be disappointed if it's not nominated
Oh, okay.
for soundtrack.
Yeah, yeah. That would be awesome. Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I saw you on Twitter like really praising Octopath too, and yeah, that was really, yeah, it was really cool to see. Yeah, and hopefully I can get time to get to it because I think yeah. How many hours did it take to complete Octopath?
It can. It's not short. Um, well, I guess I play things differently sometimes. I extend it, but it's definitely 50 plus hours.
Yeah, I definitely want to try that one out. Yeah, hopefully I can get to it. Yeah, and I would agree with you with your 6 nominations. I would just put Final Fantasy 16 in there. So maybe I'll swap out RE4. I love RE4 as well. Like, it's a super amazing game. So just because it's like a remake, then I'll just swap in Final Fantasy 16. But yeah, the rest of the nominees, I would agree with you. And yeah, I think Zelda's gonna win as well. But personally, I think I would choose Final Fantasy 16 as my personal game of the year. But that's just me personally, the game I kind of connected to the most.
Yeah,
I did
and
enjoy
that's
Zelda.
fair. Look, we both picked Square Enix games, so they must have had a good year.
Oh yeah, it's been a good year for Square Enix. Yeah, apart from yeah, I think better than last year probably. Yeah, they've had a good year this year, and yeah, next year is probably going to be another Square Enix game for me with
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. So yeah, I think Square Enix are doing a good job, and I'm happy they put out less games this year. I think they put out way too many games last year, so I think they were a bit more conservative with the games this year. Okay, thanks for that, Stealth. So, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Um, Nothing immediately comes to mind. It's been just a crazy year of video games. There's just so many good ones coming out. So yeah, I'm just and then and then of course in 2 weeks there's also Super Mario RPG remake.
Oh yeah, I'm super looking forward to that one too. Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah, you've been
so
tweeting about it a lot as well. So yeah, that's really
yeah, I
cool.
guess it's just kind of been a game shrouded in development mystery. We don't know who's developing it.
Yeah.
We don't know why it's happening.
Mm.
So I'm hoping we find out. I mean, this week we might get like I wouldn't be surprised if review copies if just there's previews.
Oh yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that if it happens.
It comes out on the is it 17th? I think.
The 17th.
Oh okay, yeah,
17th.
yeah, yeah. I'm really looking forward to that one as well. And I think I have a theory that maybe Grezzo's doing it, like the people that made the Link's Awakening remake.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure who is actually
Yeah,
making
I
it.
mean,
I
I
have
mean,
no
if
idea.
it is if it is Grezzo, they tend to update their website the day games come out.
Oh really? That late? Okay. Oh okay.
Yeah, so like if the game comes out and then it's on their website, we
Mm.
know.
Oh okay.
Um,
That's probably
but yeah,
why.
I have no idea who's developing it.
Yeah.
But
Other than
yeah,
that,
I
I have
mean,
no idea who it could be. Like, I don't think it's Camelot. Like,
yeah,
so yeah, I have no idea. I don't. It's not definitely not Square Enix. I don't think it's
no,
Square Enix. Yeah. So I think this is like a Nintendo led thing. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see who's doing it. But yeah, I'm super looking forward to that, and I'm really happy like Yoko Shimomura is back on the soundtrack. Um, doing like rearranging all the original songs for it. So yeah, I'm like super hyped for that game.
yeah. So I have a couple weeks to beat Spider-Man, and then it's
Yeah, yeah.
back to another new game.
Oh, okay, nice, nice. Yeah, yeah. I love seeing your passion for video games on Twitter and stuff, online and stuff. Yeah, and it's good that we have like similar tastes in games. So I'm really happy that you could be on the show today. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. I feel the same way. I always enjoy seeing your tweets. You get Japan news straight from Japan sometimes that I don't see. And it's just always interesting to meet other people who appreciate Japanese games, who appreciate physical game collecting, who share a lot of the same sensibilities that I have.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. Oh yeah, your your physical game collection is like crazy. Like I saw the pictures of your Switch games, and you have like literally hundreds of them.
Yeah, I just passed 200 Switch games.
200. Oh my god,
Yeah,
that's
but
crazy.
that pales in comparison to some of the collections. I've seen people with 500, over a
Oh
thousand.
wow, like literally all the games.
Me, like my collection is more limited to like all the RPG releases
Oh
and
okay,
all the Nintendo first party releases.
nice,
So
nice.
it's sizable, but it's a collection tailored for me.
Oh okay, nice. But so you're definitely like collecting them. So like you like if it's Nintendo first party release, you're gonna get it, or if it's like a RPG.
Mm, Most of the time, I can't say I buy every Nintendo game.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't picked up Detective Pikachu Returns.
Oh,
Haven't picked
okay,
it
don't
up.
worry. That one's gonna
Yeah, I
like
know it's not
yeah.
that great.
No, that one
Um,
like I think it's gonna be a bargain. bin game in Japan really
Yeah,
soon.
and then there's a new WarioWare game coming. I don't think I'm gonna pick that up at launch.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, that makes
But
sense.
I pick up I don't collect just for collecting. Like I don't collect everything, but I collect what I'm interested in, and it's mostly RPGs.
Oh, okay,
Um,
nice.
but
Yeah.
yeah, so I definitely appreciate you having me on. And I always have your back on Twitter when crazy people have to start arguments for no reason.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's every day on Twitter, right? Everyday life on Twitter. Oh yeah, but yeah, it's cool. Oh yeah, thanks for that. And same, yeah. I appreciate yeah, you coming on and having time to talk to me today. And yeah, the same on Twitter. I got your back. If some crazy stuff happens, which is seemingly all the time, and you got so many followers, so you must see so much craziness, or like
Oh my
just block a
God,
lot of people.
I can't even tell you.
Yeah, you must get so much craziness in your feed. Thanks so much, Steph, for coming on the show today. Yeah, so that's the end of this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any feedback or suggestions, then please let me know and leave a comment of any questions you may have for the next show. You can also support the show on Patreon at patreon.com/Genki Gamer. So thank you so much, Stealth, for being on the show today. If you could please let people know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Stealth40K. And yeah, if you want to hear, news about Japanese video games, RPGs, just various different topics, always happy to meet new people.
Thanks again for coming on the show. And yeah, go follow Stealth on Twitter if you're not already. And we'll see you next time. So thanks for listening, everyone, and goodbye.